Hi, I'm Coraline from Natural V. It's your favorite. I was born in Norfolk, Virginia, so I am a city girl. My mother was a chef. When I was in high school, I worked with her as a sandwich girl during the summer months. I did not know how to make a sandwich until she taught me how. I love the way she served her customers because she always made them happy. And I wanted to do the same thing because I knew what it meant to be unhappy the majority of my life. I also learned that when you make a recipe with love and care, it will be delicious. So later in life, I became a raw food chef. So my videos will be a combination of teaching you how to be healthy, making some recipes, and sharing some fun memories. Hi, my name is Coraline Stewart from Natural V. It's your favorite. I am a certified health coach and a holistic health practitioner, a raw food chef, a family herbalist, a nutritional herbalist, and an iridologist, which is the study of the iris. I know a lot of you are probably wondering, why do I have so many certifications? Well, before I answer that question, I want to tell you my story. It's a very interesting story. I'm going to start with grade school. When I was in grade school, I got a lot of repulsive look. I got a lot of constant rejection because I was fat. Today, they call it bullying. Also in grade school, I was tipping the scale at 206 pounds. I guess the most devastating thing that crippled me was for the first time, the neighborhood boys saw me in shorts. And there was a commercial that was called Valleydale Pigs. And in that commercial, they were selling bacons. So when they saw me in the shorts, they sung the song, Valleydale Pigs, who wear short shorts. And that really gripped me to my core. And so that's what happened to me when I was in grade school. Sadly to say that most of the boys that uh, teased me and bullied me, a lot of them are not alive today. Well, it does. I guess you're wondering, how did I get that way? Well, I was raised in a family with a father and a mother. My father was there physically, but he was not there mentally. And so there were many times I wanted my father to hold me, to hug me, to talk to me, and to play with me. But he did not know how to do that. And so I was needing his love. And I can't blame my father for this because he did not have his father in his life. My father met his father on his deathbed, where his father asked him to forgive him for not being in his life. Another thing, at that time, my father was working, he was a security guard at the post office. And when he would get off, he would go to, at that time, it was called Giant Open Air Market. And he would go there and he would buy donuts, glazed donuts, and also a rotisserie chicken. So that was the way that he showed his love. And so he would bring that home. And so whenever I was wanting his love, needing him to talk to me or, just hold me, I would go eat glazed donut and rotisserie chicken. And then there was another thing also happened in my family at that time. I saw my father and my mother fight. And so that caused a lot of trauma in me as well. And so not knowing what to do, what would I do? I would go to the donuts and the chicken for the rescue. So this is what I battled with in grade school. So now you can understand how I got to be 206 pounds. Then as I go on, high school, before I entered high school, I had successfully lost 150 pounds. Hooray for me. And that felt good. But the sad part about that, the way I lost that weight was taking amphetamines. I enjoyed the high and the high that it gave me, and also the success of the weight loss, which caused me to continually be addicted to these amphetamines. Also, at that time, I was, I guess you want to say, real smart or wise that I could, well, I thought I was. I could manipulate our family doctors to get those amphetamines. And so that was a thing that I dealt with as I was in high school. Now, there was a young boy in our neighborhood that when he saw the weight loss, he began to like me. And it felt good for somebody to finally like you and accept you. And he liked me in a good way. And so, like I said, wow, that really felt good. And you know how it is because you've been rejected for so many years and ostracized. And now you got someone that, is paying attention to you. And so, like I said, it made me feel really good. However, there were some emotional issues that I went through just from grade school to high school. And one was fear and the spirit of fear and intimidation. And it shaped and ruled my entire life. And that was a sad thing. It really was. Because, when you walk around, the fear and intimidation, what it did, just think of a flower. And, excuse me, and when the sun goes down, the flower closes up. And when the sun comes up, the flower opens up. Well, I was like that flower that was closed up. And because that spirit of fear and intimidation was on me, I stayed closed. I stayed isolated. I stayed afraid. And so that was something that really happened to me, emotionally. And so another thing too that this at this time that when I was so desperate for my classmate to like me, and what it also did, another effect was that it caused me to steal money from my mother to buy gifts for my classmate, thinking that they would like me. Well, that was just a temporary fix. I found that out. And so what happened? I began to have a distasteful attitude towards my classmate and my race. And that was sad because everybody, wasn't the blame for me in the situation I was in. And so let's move on to college. Well, when I went to college, I had a close friend who was the godfather of my daughter. And I really believe that he was a trustworthy friend. And his girlfriend had a baby. She was in the hospital and she was coming home. And what happened was that he asked me to go, to his house to help him prepare everything, for her to come home with the baby. And I agreed to it. Well, what happened was that he raped me. And in that time, I was fighting for my life. I did not provoke him. This was something that he'd already planned. And so I was just, like I said, fighting to get away from him, but I couldn't. And he was successful in his plan. And so the next day, when we went back to school, and like I said, I was in college, I approached him and I confronted him about the situation, asking him, why did he do that? And his response to me was, you knew you wanted it. That was another crippling moment because I was shocked that he would say something like that. So for many years, I walked around with the guilt and shame, thinking it was my fault, which it wasn't, because God revealed that to me a long time ago after, that situation. As a matter of fact, when I was working on my doctorate, and he just spoke to me very clearly and said, what woman wants to be raped? Because I confronted God. I said, God, I need to talk to you about this. I need to get rid of all this guilt and this shame. And so that's what I did. And so I just and when the Lord showed me that, when he spoke those words to me, you would not believe what happened. It was like that flower began to rise up. It was amazing. It's like, but I hadn't come all the way out, but it was like layers, all the layers that have been, on me. It was layer by layer that was being exposed and that was being lifted from me. And so I was so blessed by it. Then we moved to Germany. I was married to my husband, and we had 3 daughters. And so when we moved to Germany, it was exciting. I really liked Germany. I really loved the culture and everything like that. And uh, I could not get amphetamines anymore. So I was afraid that I would get fat again. So what I did, I resorted to anorexia, bulimia. And another thing, it was just, I was 29 years old when we moved to Germany. And want to just add a little note in here about how sexual abuse is a door that leads women to anorexia bulimia. It doesn't mean it doesn't have to just be women, it could be men, whatever. But that's a door that's open. And what it because and the reason I know this because I was a chaplain for an organization that helped women that were anorexic and bulimia. Some of the women were obese and some were skinny. And I learned that the ones that were obese, they wanted to be obese because they did not want to be attracted to a man because they had already been abused. So they thought, okay, if I'm obese, I won't be attracted to them. And so another thing too, that there was one of the girls that was there, she was real small. And every time she came, she had her knees up to her chest and her arms around her knees. That was a form of protection. So can you see what anorexia, bulimia does to a woman? Not only that, but that door. When that door of abuse or rape is open, it brings other demons with it. And it's all about, I'm going to be in control of my body. And I'm not going to let anyone take control of my body anymore. It's a stage of what you call fight or flight. You know what I'm saying? And so one of the things that happened to me when I was in Germany was that I was determined that I was not going to come back fat, because when we got orders to go to Germany, a lot of people said, oh, those schnitzels, you're going to eat those, and boy, you're going to come back fat. And so I chose not to. This was before we went over there, and before I had chosen to enter into the anorexia bulimia disorder, eating disorder. That's what happens. And so that was the journey there. And I just how I could protect my body, I became an avid runner. And I was running 8-minute miles because I was letting everybody know, no, you don't have control over me. And that was the way that I control my body. It was through sports. Like I said, other women, other people, with that suffers with that eating disorder, they choose different ways to survive. Well, that was my way of surviving. And so I remember one day I was in my prayer closet. And let me just back up a minute because I want to just make sure I say this. I was living a destructive lifestyle. This is very important. Hear me right now. Destructive lifestyle. I was committing slow suicide. And that was just, and I was on a pendulum. One day I would starve myself. The next day I would binge and vomit because it's like I was afraid of food. I just, I knew I needed food, but I was afraid that when I would eat it, that of course I would get fat. And so that's how my brain was geared, that food made me fat. And so it was as if I even hated food. So that's why I would starve myself. And then when I knew I needed some, I would eat and then I would just binge so much and then I would go and vomit. And so this is the lifestyle that you live on anorexia bulimia. Now there are some people that are just anorexia and some are bulimia. They just binge, they eat all the time, all the time. But I was both, you know. And so that, so that was an addiction. When you think about anorexia bulimia, it's no different than what I'm trying to say, drug addiction, sex addiction. Addiction is addiction. There's just different styles of it. And so that's what I dealt with in Germany. And it was a secret lifestyle. My husband didn't know. My children didn't know. And even when I was a Christian at that time too. And so how did I overcome this? Well, it took me a long time before I could even share with other Christians because somehow I saw Christians, to judge you. And so I remember being in my prayer closet one day. And, I'm a prayer warrior and I love to pray and everything like that. And so I was in there one morning and I know it was the Lord, it was Jesus speaking to me. And he said, will thou be made whole? And I knew exactly what he was talking about. I didn't change the conversation. I didn't act like I didn't ignore him. My response to him was, I don't know how. And so that was when my restoration began. See, I had to acknowledge it. Jesus is not going to force me or you to do anything, but he will ask us the question because he's there and willing to help us. And so, like I said, my brokenness had to meet the healer, Jesus Christ. And I'm not going to really get into all the details how I got here. That's for another another video. but I just want to tell you who I am. I want you to see my transparency. I want you to understand that uh, I haven't gone through, you haven't gone through stuff that I haven't gone through. I love the scripture that says that Jesus was touched with our infirmities. In other words, he could understand how we were feeling or feeling. And so when I see, I mean, when you've been anorexia bulimia for years and years and years, you can look at a person and tell if they're anorexia, they're bulimia. You can tell. It's a characteristic. You can tell. And so now when I see that, I don't judge them because they need help just like I need help. It's just like a drug addict. If someone was, on drugs before and now they're delivered, why are you going to judge another person that's, going through something that you've already been through and you've been delivered? And that's what the Lord told me. He said, Coraline, your situation is not just for you. It's for those that are going through what you're going through and those that need help, those that are looking for a safe place that they can share. And so that's what, my journey is all about. And I want to say also that in 1994, Jesus totally delivered me. He set me free by his mighty power. I don't take any credit for this. Like I said, I just had to be willing, and he was able and is able today. Another thing too, before the healing, I just want to add this too, is that when it's a way of covering up your disorder, your dis-ease, or whatever you want to say, and how I covered mine's up was that I would wear the finest clothes, fix my hair, and use all the religious phrases. But deep down inside, I was miserable. And I can imagine how, someone else, they're going through their issues. They can fake it to make it, but deep down inside, it's what's inside. Because it says that out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. I really believe out of the abundance of your heart, you speak it, you're going to act it out. And so this is what I'm just saying, that I truly believe that, Jesus is ready and he wants to heal us. So this is what my final words to you is that now I can answer the question about why do I have so many certification. Well, number one, I want to be informed. Like I said, I can tell you, this, I learned that, and I learned this, and I learned the characteristics of leading, what leads you into that, and everything like that. And thinking about, how it all started. I wasn't getting that love from my father. And not only do I want to be informed, I want to take responsibility of my health. A lot of times we give it off to someone else. And don't get me wrong, I have no issues with doctors, okay? Because some things you have to do, you have to go to the doctor. But we need to research. If they're getting ready to prescribe you with something, research it. It's okay. It's all right. To make sure that it's not going to have another devastating effect on your body. You're already dealing with trauma, unhappiness, depression, because I've dealt with it myself. And so, and then not only that, and this is the biggest key. I wanted to learn to let food be my medicine. Because, in the Bible it says that the leaves of the trees are for the healing of the nation. And so it makes me feel so good that I have this knowledge. I just want to just say this one other thing, that the Bible says that Paul wrote over half of the New Testament. And it said that Bereans even searched out what he said to make sure it was true. So that's what we have to be. If we're going to take responsibility of our health, of our wholeness, then we have to be Bereans. Search it out. Make sure that it fits with you. Not only with you, but is it in God's plan for you? And like I said, he'll answer you like he answered me. So this is the question I leave with you. Will thou be made whole? That's a Selah moment. And Selah means to think about it. So that's what I, want you to do. I want you to think about it. Because what Jesus did for me, he will do for you as well. Now, I want to tell you, this is my story. This is who I am. I am free. I'm alive. Not only am I alive, but I know I have purpose. And I love myself now. Where before I hated myself. And that was because the enemy used people to cause me to hate myself. But I love myself now. I have purpose. And I know God loves me as well. So, like I said, I want you to put your comments down below. If you have any issues that you're dealing with, I would love to pray for you. So please, not only put your comments down below, I want you to like and I want you to subscribe, because there are more videos coming forward. All right? Thank you for joining me today. And I look forward to seeing you the next time. God bless you. Bye-bye.